We have a major update about the Cleveland Cavaliers coming from Brian Windhorst of ESPN on his podcast. This major update, we will jump into it, why it matters to the Cavs before, during, and after the season, what was said. We'll watch a clip from Brian Windhorst and his podcast, The Hoop Collective, and kind of gauge your feeling on what has been said and what they talked about in this podcast. Hey everybody, Billy BB back with you on Cavs Digest. Once again, news with the Cavaliers flowing, things being said about the team, things being said around the team, within the team. When you subscribe to Cavs Digest, you'll be able to keep up with everything happening. So make sure you do that. We're talking rumors about trades, rumors about signings, what guys need to do for the upcoming season, drama that was surrounding different players in their offseason. We still have drama going on with Isaac Okoro, so you definitely want to stay tuned with the channel for any news that could happen. Isaac Okoro could be signed and traded, release a statement, a diss track. Maybe he'll release a diss track any second. Either way, keep up with us here on Cavs Digest by subscribing. Now, getting to what we want to talk about today, Brian Windhorst and the Hoops Collective. Look, Wendy's a Cavs guy. He talks about the Cavs often. They have a little sounder on his podcast when he's about to talk about the Cavs. So this is a guy that talks Cavaliers, understands the Cavaliers, keeps in touch. So anytime you see Brian Windhorst in our thumbnail, you got to jump in because this is important to Cavs news, because this is a guy that cares about everything going on with the team, whether it be Darius Garland, whether it be Evan Mobley, or whether it be Kenny Atkinson. I just gave a slight little hint at what we're about to discuss next. So Windhorst goes on. They're talking tiers in the Eastern Conference, okay? And we'll jump right into it. Boston Celtics, tier 1, tier of their own, they said. Nobody's close to them right now. Tier 2, I strongly disagree with, but I understand. Tier 2 was Knicks and Sixers. Sixers because of the offseason they have, so we're giving major credit and a tier jump for a team from what they added. Okay, got it, thanks. And tier 2, also in that tier 2, the Knicks, who blew a series to the Pacers in tier 3. Not understanding that. So the next tier, like I just gave away, it's the Cavs in there with Miami, Milwaukee, Indiana, some other hodgepodge teams. But the Cavs are tier 3, right? How can they jump up? I don't disagree. I think they're a tier 2, tier 3 team. I don't think Boston's in their own tier. I think there's upper of the East, which should be one or two teams, and then the next two. I do think it's Boston and New York, then drop down Cavs, Milwaukee, Sixers. Say what you want on that. However, what I took from the podcast discussion was Windhorst noted 3 things the Cavaliers have to do to jump up a tier. He said there are 3 things that are going to matter this season that are going to make the difference on that tier. So let's take a look at the clip from the podcast, and then we'll kind of discuss, and then feel free, leave a comment. Please leave a comment. What's Windy doing? That should be a common comment. Cavs are tier 3, Cavs are tier 2, tier 1. I agree with 2 of those things, not the third. I'm sick of Windy, whatever you guys may think. But first, let's take a look at the clip.
All right. We have talked about the Cavs quite a bit on this pod. I don't think there's a lot more that we can say other than there's going to be 2 things to watch coming out of this. Actually, I think 3 things to watch with the Cavs. One, does Darius Garland have a bounce back year? He's had some super weird injuries over the last couple of years. He got his eye socket broken 2 years ago. Last year, he gets his jaw broken, gets it wired shut, can't eat for like a month or whatever, or 6 weeks, whatever it was, and he lost weight. So in addition to learning to play alongside Donovan Mitchell, he's had just crazy injuries. There was some rumblings out there that there might be a trade there. Long story short, the Cavs, I think, made it known that even if there was a trade demand, they weren't going to honor it. He's under contract for 3 more years, I believe, and it might even be 4 more years. It's a long time. There's no out. The Cavs are basically like, you can ask for the demand, but we're not trading them. And so there was no demand. Now they've all sung Kumbaya, and Donovan's like, oh, he's going to be great with me, and Darius is like, love Donovan, blah, blah, or hugging. But there was a time there where that wasn't sure. So how he bounces back this year is big. And then obviously how Evan Mobley changes his game. We just some footage recently leaked out of Mobley's offseason workouts. I didn't maybe see all of it. I didn't see him knocking down 100 threes in the workout. Maybe that is happening. I don't know. I'm not there. But seeing Evan Mobley do an up and under and dunking is not, I know he can do that. One of the best dunkers in the league.
I don't care about off-season workout footage.
I know. I'm just saying,
It's
like,
not
if there
100%.
was a video of him, time-lapse photography of him shooting 70% on catch and shoot threes standing alone in a gym, that would be a nice thing. And that comes down to the third thing, which is how Kenny Atkinson affects the way Evan Mobley plays and the way Darius Garland plays. I was pretty strongly against the Cavs bringing this core four back in their form. I thought that there was no way they could do it. However, I have seen coaches put new systems in place that have worked. And one of the things that I've learned in covering the NBA for a couple of decades is not to assume certain alignments can't work with different systems or philosophies.
Okay, so 3 things from Brian Windhorst there that can help the Cavs jump up a tier in his opinion. No surprise. It's Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. Garland, who has struggled last year, he's had some problems with the injuries. He's had some ups and downs in the playoffs. Mobley, everybody's waiting. One more jump, another jump. It's time to take a jump. Now you got paid. Take another jump. That's been a common theme discussed on the Hoop Collective podcast and within the NBA community, the Cavaliers community, wherever else. Cavs Digest, we've discussed it plenty. And then the Kenny Atkinson angle. Now let's jump to number 3 real quick. The Atkinson angle, Windhorst noted he didn't want the big 4 brought back. He thought it was a waste, thought the Cavaliers needed to do something, and he said, now the only saving grace to make sure I was wrong or anybody that wanted those 4 broken up is Kenny Atkinson needs to make the difference. That was an interesting note to me personally. On the Garland side of things, Windhorst likes clutch. He tries to get involved with those guys. He tries to, be a Rich Paul guy and show some love there. And it's no surprise he's feeling for Garland. He thinks Garland's going to bounce back. I'm hoping for the same. I think it's a lost cause. I think you need to get the most you can out of Darius Garland, move on from him. Obviously, this is a last chance for him, and it's a last chance for Jarrett Allen for the Cavaliers coming up on the upcoming season. So, an eye on Garland, sure, fine. Like Windhorst said, he's had his injuries, he's had his problems. So, very interesting stuff there from Brian Windhorst on his podcast, The Hoop Collective. Again, they have that Cavs corner. That's what they call it, the Cavs corner, of Windy and them talking about the Cavaliers. But drop down into the comments. What was interesting about those 3 things? Are those the 3 things the Cavaliers need to make themselves a contender in the East? Yes, they've been a top 4 team. But are they able to make themselves a contender? Move up a tier, even into Boston's tier? What would that take? Get into the comments. Let me know. Right here on Cavs Digest is where you want to be for news and everything happening with the Cavs, so be sure to subscribe.